we're doing. All right, so welcome. So my name is Kara Gooch. I'm coming to you from Where the Job's At. Now, this is a new segment. I am currently in the great country of the United Kingdom. Is this a country? Okay. I am in the great country of the United Kingdom. And with this, I was recently invited to be a panelist with the International Center for Apprenticeship Degrees. So ICAD 2025 inaugural sessions jumped off in August. I was very grateful, very excited to be a part of this initiative because, first of all, this is a level of introduction to apprenticeship that I have not experienced in my professional life, but to see the level of progress across the world was not only inspiring, but it was also challenging for me because being an American, like you think selfishly that you're so ahead of the game, but now coming to this international stage and seeing where apprenticeship degrees sit in different countries, it was amazing. So enough of my introduction. I'm going to introduce you to the two wonderful people that are sitting next to me. So I will pass it to y'all to introduce yourselves, but before we do that, make sure that you all are continuing to check in on our live stream hitting YouTube weekly on Wednesdays. But beyond that, let's pass it. So Bolu, I'll have you introduce yourself first.
Thank you very much. So my name's Bolu Olawaye, and yeah, we're out here in the UK today. The weather could be a little bit better. That's something about the Brits, by the way. We always like to talk about the weather. I'm here, based in London. Been in London for the majority of my life now. And you wanted me to go into a bit of my story just yet? Okay. So for me, I went down the traditional route first. Very traditional parents. Nigerian parents, we must go to university. That's the vibe, right? And that was always the pathway. But even outside of that, I thought for myself that was always going to be the pathway. And when I was 18, I didn't get the grades that I wanted to get to my first choice university. So I had to go through a process in the UK called clearing, which meant that I had to look for an alternative university, and I found it, and I got into my course. First year was fun. Let's say that it was fun. I went to a university in Birmingham called Aston University, and then my second year, that's when COVID started, and my second year, that's when I started to realize maybe this course is not for me, and I was studying electrical engineering. And at the time, I thought it was a good idea. I don't know who forced me, but I wasn't enjoying it as I was getting more and more into the course. And it wasn't that it wasn't interesting. It just I didn't see a career out of it. I didn't see how I can turn, because I was doing maths still. I was still doing physics. I thought we were going to learn how to add business value and how the real world works. But that real world experience wasn't what I was getting. So I wasn't learning in the way that I wanted to learn. And the social side was good. I made some of my closest friends there, but because I didn't have that career progression for me, I knew that I needed to find an alternative. Yeah, and during lockdown, I had a lot of time to think about it, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't sit right in my gut, because it's like, why am I gonna keep as well the debts as well? In the UK, it's £9,000 per year that for the student tuition fees. So it's like, why am I gonna continue adding that on when I'm not gonna pursue a career in this? And that's when I decided to drop out. I decided to drop out and look for alternative options, and how can I continue my education, but how can I get work experience, and how can I make money? Because at that time, I really wanted to make money, and I really just want to get into that. Just my career. I wanted it now. Like, why wait? I want it now. Which is, I think, it's also kind of like a Gen Z thing as well. We're not patient. Why wait? We can have it now. And then that's when an apprenticeship kind of presented itself. Well, I found out about apprenticeships a long time ago when I was maybe 17, 18, but no one in my school at the time was helping me to get that apprenticeship, and I didn't know how I could actually get one. But now, back is against the wall. I'm dropping out of university, I don't want to continue, and now I need to find out how it works. How do I do it? And I literally just trial and error. A few rejections for the CVs that I put forward to the different companies, and then luckily one got back to me, and then I went forward with the assessment center, and then they hired me as a degree apprentice, which means I was able to study at university at the same time as work. And I got both worlds, best of both worlds, able to work, able to get my qualifications, and able to make money. So cannot complain. And then I'll pass it over to yourself to introduce.
Inspiring story, bro. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, my name is lyioluwa Adesan. Um, also from the UK, London to be precise. My journey actually started in school, looking for other ways to actually become successful. Just similar to Bolu, I was only exposed to just one route only, which was the university pathway. That didn't really align with me, and my learning experience. I realized earlier on that I was more practical than theory, in terms of like the learning style, the learning approach. So in year 12, we've got higher education, and then we've got sixth form, which is post 16, so 16 to 18. During that time, I'd taken business, IT, and construction, but going on to year 13, I was only I only ended up with two like subjects, which was business and construction. I was dropped from IT. I realized that that IT wasn't really my strong point, but I also didn't enjoy the teacher as well. The teacher teaching the subject as well. So due to just lack of concentration, lack of focus, just lack of engagement, I was dropped, and I didn't complain. I ended up with two results, but those results weren't great. Results they came. I was with my mom, and I could just tell by the look of her face as she opened the envelope that it wasn't going to be good. And that ride back home, trust me, I would always sit in the front seat. But yeah, yeah, that day I decided, you know what, you can have the front seat. You can stay there and drive on your own. I'll stay at the back seat just to avoid any sort of conflict. And that should tell you already the level of expectations our parents had for us. I didn't meet those expectations. I had siblings who, exceeding greatly in their education, and as the oldest, I have to set that level of standard for them to follow, and I didn't set that standard. So I knew that I needed to put myself in an environment that I see myself being successful in, and that was the corporate world. So just like any other kid who wanted best for themselves for the future, you have to be you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions in order to be comfortable, and that was exactly what I did. So I started my journey to embarking on my professional career. So I did a lot of I attended a lot of webinars, seminars, a lot of skills workshop, just networking with professionals that would eventually lead me into the right path. And that's how I found out about apprenticeships. Not just apprenticeships, but degree apprenticeships. What we knew growing up was just labour apprenticeships that included carpentry, electrician, bricklaying. That's all fun. That's all good, but I'm not really a tradesperson, even though I did construction, but that was more focused on commercial property, real estate, and the built environment. I was more interested in like construction site management rather than the trades work, and I knew that the degree apprenticeship had more to offer, but it was too good to be true. Let's be honest. You're getting paid to learn. You're getting paid to earn. Sorry, you're getting paid to learn. You're also earning as well. You're getting a professional experience, over 4 years of professional experience. You're building a professional network. You have a level of mentorship, a level of support that you wouldn't get from anywhere else. And your degree is sponsored. Who would it want as a young person who's trying to find the right path? So it's like it's a win-win. Just like Buddy said, it's a win-win. That means you're a winner. So I'll take that on board. I applied a lot of rejections. I applied for different industries. I did a lot of trials and errors. I refined my CVs countless of times, just to find what works. I took a gap year as well, so I spent that year just focusing on developing myself professionally and personally as well, so I can attend interviews with confidence. without delay or doubt. And eventually I was connected to the right employer, which was NatWest. And thanks to the social mobility charity that actually connected me to that employer, they equipped me with the skills that NatWest was looking for. I didn't have the skills beforehand. So the ability to actually like tell your story in a way that makes you stand out in application processes and also in the eyes of interviews as well. How to actually merge business processes or how to understand how a business is built from scratch was something that I had to learn during this workshop. And as a student coming from school, it's not something schools would normally teach you. And I learned that along the line. And I said to myself, I wish I had a level of support that would allow me to walk into these rooms with confidence from a young age. I wish schools actually, created a model, some sort of structure that allows young people to actually know of what the next steps are before actually completing their education journey. Why do we have to complete the journey for us to know what the next steps are? Why can't we know what the next steps are before we actually embark on that journey or whilst we're in transition in that journey? It's something that a lot of schools had gaps in, and clearly that's where opportunity comes into place. Many years later, I graduate from my degree apprenticeship, and now I'm on a mission to actually open more doors to a lot of young people and let them know of the opportunities that are out there. It's not just university. You don't have to just confine or box yourself up in a place that doesn't allow you to show your true self, your allow you to tell your story and unlock your potential. There's actually other ways such as the hybrid way, which is the degree apprenticeship, the best of both worlds like we've all said today. And yeah, I'm here now to discuss with amazing people here who are on the same mission to actually, create inclusive pathways that will lead to career success for young people who are not really exposed to opportunities that are out there today. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's a perfect segue because what I've come to understand about you two, about a degree apprenticeship in every country that is not the US, and it being standardized, is that you all honor alternative pathways. You all honor multiple pathways when it comes to reaching a space of success. And so that's the value that I saw in the platform that you all were presenting during the conference. And so I wanted to get into that. But before I got into that, um, want to go back to a couple of things that we talked about before we jumped on to camera to talk about it. But um, a piece of value that I saw from your presentation was not just the passion, but the fact that you both went through the pathway of degree apprenticeship. But the value that I then saw while watching you both like sit here with me and look through apprenticeships.gov was that you saw the value that you already had and then you mapped it to what you want to deliver and how you want to improve the program that you already have. And so I wanted to start from that space. What value do you see in your platform and what motivated you to get it started? And then you can of course introduce like what the name of the platform is and everything, and tell the people why the US is missing out on this platform. So
So I'm gonna answer the value part, and I think the main thing is, and we've always said it, we feel like we are the best people to kind of deliver on this platform because we've been through the process, because we've lived it, we've experienced it, and we were at a stage where we didn't know what we were doing. We were at a stage then we just started applying. We were at a stage where we then got our roles, our jobs. Then we're at the stage, okay, I've got the job now. How do I succeed in the job? And then it was like, okay, how do I manage everything? How do I balance everything? And then I've graduated. Now what do I do? So we've seen the whole process end to end, and I think that's quite rare. And the value in that is we know the pain points of the users, and of students looking for apprenticeships, people who are in apprenticeships currently who want to succeed, and or people who complete their apprenticeships. And I think that's a very unique perspective, and because of that, and because of the emotions attached to it, because we are very, very heavily emotionally and personally invested into this, I think the value is that we can really leverage that experience, and create the best solutions across the board at each and every different level of the stage. So I think that's the main piece of value, and we're adaptable. We're very, very adaptable. We're open to feedback. We're open to change, and we're very, very data driven. We are not making assumptions. We're not making guesses. We're taking facts and then turning that into a solution. So I think that's where we kind of like add value on the platform with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can take that next part. What motivated you to get started?
Yeah. So imagine a place where every young person has access to information that they need to achieve career success. Not just information, but also an opportunity to get access into the right doors, to build these meaningful connections, build your network, access a hub full of resources that allows you to be ready, career ready, approach interviews with confidence. I'm talking from the age of 16, right? You might think that's too young, but that is really the stage where young people really start to feel like they have a lot to offer, but they don't know where to get started. We're surrounded by this hustle culture of wanting to better our lives. People have come from diverse backgrounds, and not every opportunity that's offered to them would be taken without knowing where to actually start from. So not every opportunity is also accessible to everyone, to every young person. So what our vision was is, an ecosystem that allows young people to enter these doors without debts, delays, or doubts. I'm talking top firms, JP Morgan, KPMG, Deloitte, EY, you name it, IBM. Should I keep going? Microsoft. But more or less it's just getting that access into top firms, and a lot of people think that it's impossible. If you look at the stats that's on the apprenticeship.usa website, majority of people who actually are apprentices are white. And that goes to tell you, where the gap really is and how we can close this gap. And this is where we come in place. I know we're not based in America, in the States, we're based in the UK, but our services goes beyond, offering solutions for people in the UK. It can really, expand. We can really expand our services beyond America as well. But there's a big market that we're dealing with right now, and we realize that our solution really does is needed around the world globally. So with our solution now, we have created a one-stop platform, digital platform for students, aspiring apprentices to find information about the companies that they want to work for, the companies that they aspire to be to work within, with their chosen industry, with their interests, and also like their career aspirations as well, along with information on the universities that they will be partnered with the degree apprenticeship. If you think about it, degree apprenticeship consists of, it's a collaboration between the university and the employer. So they need to work, together to provide these programs for young people. So we have a directory of universities, apprenticeship providers, and employers all in one place with the right information, how to apply for these programs and what you need, the entry requirements to apply for these programs, what skills is required, how to stand out in this competitive job market is something that a lot of people don't have access to, especially young people. It's about, where do I start? How do I start? And that is the one-stop platform that will connect aspiring apprentices to apprenticeship opportunities. Not only that as well, but we have coaching, so that peer-to-peer engagement is needed. It's hard if I see it's hard to learn from somebody that you don't aspire to be. In the bank where I come from, I saw a lot of white senior role models, but I just couldn't, that they were assigned to be my mentor, but I couldn't resonate with them. I felt that level of disconnect with them because I felt like we're not relatable. I would feel more confident talking to somebody that is related to be related I can relate with. Does that make sense? Like you feel more inspired because they've done it. They've gone up the ranks. Now they're a director of commercial banking. So if they can do it, it inspires me to also want to do and even be better as well because it shows that it's possible. So if you have that peer-to-peer engagement where you've got a current apprentice who is at a top firm and he's just using his story of how we got to that top firm to inspire younger people or aspiring apprentices or students, it would make a massive impact in in empowering them into the right direction. So that peer-to-peer engagement, having that direct interaction with us current apprentices through a one-to-one consultation, which is all for free, um, and also that resource hub where you have CV templates personalized for each industry. So trending industries like technology, finance, and law. If you're interested in any law pathways, we have tailored resources. And the reason why this is very immersive is because we didn't just create this platform based on what we feel like people need. It's not a it's not a we think this is what you need type. It's a thing of we've given you this platform, now tell us your problems. Tell us what you need, and we will make sure that every solution there's a solution for each of those problems. And that's what we did. That's the joy. One of the things I like about data. Data gives you so many insight as to what solutions you need to create for your users, how to meet your user demands. And that's something that we also learn during this degree apprenticeship. So it's not just about going to a top firm and using the resources, and also it's an investment as well, so getting paid as well. It's not just about that. It's about um, get into these firms and translating what we've learned in our own way to make the world a better place. And that's why we've created this platform, to make apprenticeships accessible to everyone, everywhere, without depth, delay, or doubt.
So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like your platform sits at the intersection between access and delay. Because as you said, it's what is it? It's debt, without delay, without doubt. And so by doing so, what are some of the things that you have learned from some of the young people that you have spoken with already?
Amazing. That's a good question. Really good question. And we've done over 100 consultations now personally, where we've spoken to students, asked them, first of all, giving them the insight from what we've learned, what we've taken away, ask them what they're struggling with, and then advise on how they can improve that. And a lot of students actually they struggle with the interview phase. They struggle with like how to confidently present themselves in the interview. What do you when you get asked what are your strengths? That's such a broad question.
Yeah.
And can you imagine someone who's 16, 17, 18, well, they'll most likely be 17, 18, maybe a little bit older, or at a young age, like, what are your strengths? They aren't even at the age where they've got the experience to really know themselves and their strengths yet.
And those things being in conversation, like
Yeah.
at their house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they really struggle with like, what do I say in those interviews? How do I manage the nerves? How do I manage the stress? And we create resources to help them with that, but also from our own personal experience. I remember when I done my interview, and what made me successful was really having that confidence and self-belief, but also breaking down like what specific type of questions to ask when the employer asks you, have you got any questions? I've always told people, right, that's your opportunity to now flip the script and now to use the opportunity to interview the company to see if that's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And no one, what 18-year-old's gonna know that unless you say it to them. So video interviews is another part as well. Interviews in general, but video interview, that's like just speaking to a screen. A lot of students struggle with that because there's no like human interaction and connection there as well. And another thing we've seen is CVs. Students struggle with CVs. They struggle with like, how do I create the correct CV? Something we love to tell them to make sure it's targeted, it's specific to the company, making sure that you understand the company values and making sure that you portrayed the skill sets and your experience to align with those values as well, because it shows that you've done more research, more due diligence on the company, and it makes you stand out because it shows that you've put the effort in. And things, those are probably the key things. And we're also looking at what major problems maybe you have once you've actually got into the apprenticeship as well, and how you can then take that and thrive and succeed whilst you're in the apprenticeship too. But those are probably some of the key things that we've seen so far. And I'll pass it on to you if you want to add anything else onto that.
I'd say quite similar to what you said. More of how to stand out
Yeah.
in application processes. Apprenticeships are very competitive. You know, they are investing. It's a 4-year program. You know, the average salary for degree apprenticeship is about, let's just say, 26k. Let's just say 26k. Um, duration is 4 years. 26 times 4. That's definitely over 100k. Am I right? I just want to be right.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah. Just making sure my numbers are right. But yeah, they are. So that's an investment. Over 100k within 4 years. That's an investment. So you need to show that you're not a liability. You're an asset. So what I tell a lot of the students who join the platform is, for example, I would give them an example of my own experience. So in my assessment center, there was two. There was one individual and there was one as a group. Now, the individual one required me to go to the app store and find any app that I'm very familiar with and basically have to propose a new way to make it better. Very, very different, more of market research now that we know, but beforehand you wouldn't know. You just think it's a project. So you're doing market research, and what I did was market research. So I went to the app store. The app I'm very familiar with back then was a knack running app because I was doing track and field. So at track, I would always talk to my peers about how we can make this more fun for us to enjoy running, some sort of group chat so we can share playlists, that sort of thing. We were thinking they merging Apple or iTunes together in the platform. It's something that they do now, I think, but then it wasn't a thing. So like a group chat to encourage each other to keep running, stay motivated, stay inspired, stay fit. And I also went to the App Store. I looked at any reviews that were rated 3 star and below. I saw that as bad. I also took like 10 important ones that I could translate into a solution. Annotated it and aligned everything to a solution, and I picked 3 main features and I presented it. So what I also did was realize that it was very competitive, so everybody here is going to be doing something if not similar. So how do I stand out in this presentation? This is where you use your, I had to call them I like to call them superpowers. This is where you actually leverage your superpowers, your creativity, your innovative mind. This is where it comes into place. So now what I did to stand out, I noticed everyone did everything the same. So because they were practicing, they had a demo before actually proposing to the panel of judges. So what I did was I printed a logo. There were 4 panel of judges. I printed four different logos and printed it out and handed it to the panel of judges. So they had to pick their favorite one. So majority carries the vote. So they picked the favorite logo, and that's the logo that we chose. And it got everyone around interacting. It got the judges interacting. Everyone else got a feedback post the session. I got my feedback mid session. So it was like, okay, amazing, that's something different. Now they'll remember me. Now you can keep that paper. I don't want the paper. You can keep that paper. Remember that logo, remember that name. That kind of confidence was what I came into the room with. And that made me stand out. They were talking about it, and I feel like I used that as a leverage for my following assessment centers. That was a good starting point. So it's like, this is the level, this is the bar that I've raised. I have a lot of weaknesses, but I also know my strengths. And if I'm able to identify my competitor's weakness, I can always fill in that gap. Or if I can't fill in that gap, I'm going to ask for help to fill in those gaps. At least I'm doing something to actually find a solution to the problems that I'm facing. And that level of wanting to go far and beyond to find the right answers to your problems, that eagerness to learn, is what they're looking for. You won't realize that in the process. You won't realize until you've actually started, and you realize that they're developing you to be to be a professional from day one.
Yeah.
So the minute your apprenticeship starts, you're expected to work straight away. When my apprenticeship started, I was given a MacBook to start coding a website. I was like, huh? You want me? I got dropped from IT I got kicked out from my class, and you want me to start coding from day one. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Wrong person. Wrong person. But I wasn't the wrong person. I was the right person. I just needed time to grow and really adapt. Exactly. And build those skill sets, those technical skills that was required. It took a while to adapt into the corporate world, but like we're discussing today, with the right support system, it makes your journey much more seamless and easier. So yeah.
All right. So let's go in a different direction here. Let's get a little funny. Okay, so when I was talking to yeah, they do. I don't know what that means, so I'm not gonna do it. All right, so lyioluwa, I was talking to you about my experience as an apprentice, and then you asked me, "Well, how long was your apprenticeship?" I was like, "It's 12 months." He's like, "That's not an apprenticeship." And then he was like, "No disrespect, no disrespect." I was like, "It's fine. I'm here to learn." So tell me why you think that's true. That like it wasn't really an apprenticeship.
Okay. Just to start off with, PSA. I don't mean any sort of form of disrespect. Just so you know, like things are different over there, so it's understandable. You guys don't have a apprenticeship system in place, which is also understandable. So when I heard that, she did a degree apprenticeship and the duration was 1 year, straight away I said to her that that sounds like an internship to me. If not an internship, it must be a work experience. But work experience isn't typically a year. So what sort of program is that? I would like to know. She said, yeah, it was a apprenticeship, and I said, typically a degree apprenticeship lasts a year or 4 years. The first 2 years will be a level 4. The third year will be a level 5, and the last year would be seen as a level 6, which is a degree apprenticeship. That's the common theme around here, but in America, it's known to be an apprenticeship that lasts 1 year. That's not enough for a person who's building a career, especially at the firm that you were working for, which was Accenture. So like that's not right. How do you expect a young person to absorb the skills, the knowledge, and the behaviors of the corporate world within a year? And then did you get certified? Did you get certification? You didn't get certification. You didn't get a degree. You didn't get a note to say that you've completed the program.
At the time, they weren't printing them.
Oh, so wow. So they didn't have printers to print them. Wow, that's interesting. So it's like, a firm like that is expected to have such support system from start to success, and they should have a way to deliver this apprenticeship programs to achieve, the right outcomes, to actually expand these programs further for more people to gain access into these firms. And that's one thing that, corporate firms back there in the States need to really adapt to these changes that's happening. You don't want to be behind. You don't want a lot of your people there to be left out from the system that is already against them. So give them this access that they deserve. Let them spend time learning the skills, the knowledge of how to how to understand the corporate world, just how to understand the kind of culture that your workplace set out there. So it's like, just make it more inclusive. Create these pathways that allows young people to really understand the true perform, the true potential. I don't think a year. It took me a year to really settle in and really understand. That I am an apprentice. I am a professional. I am a professional, not no longer a student. It took me a year. It takes people a long time to really go through that phase of being a student to working in the corporate world. It's daunting. It's a daunting transition, and with the wrong support system, you'll be left with a student who has dropped out, and that doesn't help your retention, and it doesn't speak well of you as a workforce who's driving social mobility. But you've got students and employees. You don't even have a printer. So I'm so sorry, like I said. Nah, still no disrespect, but yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking.
So I will say I learned the most about being in the corporate world when I was a part of the national apprenticeship team. So I completed my my 1 year. Completed my 1 year. I had time to work on different teams. And then a position was created for me on the national team because they saw the efforts that I made, they saw the access that I created, they saw the advocacy for me to partner with our active and alumni apprentices. And that started by just hosting a listening session, right, for the apprentice community. And I just opened it up and I said, listen, there's no HR invited. And the team at the time, I told them, I said, I want to host this call. And they said, go ahead and go do it. We need a senior person on the call with you just to kind of like crowd handle and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's fine. um After they weren't invited and everything, and we hosted the session, it was over 200 apprentices showed up to a virtual session. Over 200. They came and they said they shared their experience, and they just presented a lot of questions, because I couldn't go into it and deliver solutions. One, because I wasn't on the national team yet, so I can't speak on behalf of them, but also for me to speak from space of advocacy of just like, I want to hear you, right? And that was their first time being able to be in that space. That call was scheduled for 1 hour. They ended up staying for over two. Yeah. Yeah, 200 people stayed for over 2 hours just to talk to me, just to hear. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. And so and so and so from that, the national team, they got wind of it. They heard the numbers and everything. They heard how many people showed up. They heard how long they were there. And a mentor of mine at the time, she was the executive sponsor for the apprenticeship program. She went back to the lead and said, I don't care what you have to do, put her on the team. And this was a week before she retired. Okay. She like used her power, used her influence, and said, I don't care what you have to do, put her on the team. And they made a position for me. I was the apprentice experience lead. And so I hosted over 200 workshops for the apprentices in a year, and partnered with all of these senior managers and whatnot. Like I brought somebody that was in litigation, a lawyer, and that taught the apprentices how to negotiate, like the power of negotiation. Like that's crazy talk, right? And so I will say I learned what I should have, or I was fortunate enough to be in this space to learn like at an MBA level, master's level of being a corporate professional while being on that team. I learned so much from my coworkers, and it pained me to be in that position because I couldn't use that space to offer it to everybody, right? Nobody else was able to see the inner workings of the program. But what I did unofficially, I incorporated a lot of the items that I learned, the skill sets, the knowledge, and the behaviors that I acquired while being on that team, and I incorporated it in those weekly learning sessions that I hosted. And those learning sessions were probably the my favorite part of the day, right? Because I knew that on the other side of these apprentices joining me on this 1 hour call, that they would go back and use exactly what I showed them and bring it back to their teams, right? Like I was encouraging them to talk through their personal goals, to find out and be intentional on listening in on their team's goals, and then mapping those goals together so that they had the opportunity to be intentional when they went back to their teams. And so we've seen a lot of intention, we've seen a lot of growth, progress, and success from degree apprenticeships in the countries that we were a part of, like these delegations. So we've seen those successes in the UK, Germany, Singapore, Sweden, Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia. These are some of the countries that we were able to interact with. Like, what an amazing place for just all three of us to be, right? For us to be in front of the nations, right? And share from the space of honesty, share from the space of experience, to be able to take it back and challenge the United States. And so that's where I want to end it. I want to end my last word to the United States. My challenge to you is one, strategically use the money and the opportunity and the appetite that has been presented from executive branch on down, and utilize this number and this demand for reach 1 million apprenticeships and make majority of them degree apprenticeships. How do you do that? Work with people that have been through the process before. Hi, my name is Cara Gooch. Hi, this is lyioluwa. Hi, this is Bolu. Work with people that have been through the process to help challenge you, and then two, be open to being challenged. And I'm talking to our employers. I'm talking these employer partners. I'm talking to the training providers. Hello, my name is Kargush. I am a training provider. And also working with universities to also be challenged. And that's the third piece, is universities be open to being challenged, to work with and partner with workforce boards, with other spaces that are able to supply and sponsor degree apprenticeships, so that it's not just 1 year. So that is not just 1 year that they're going through these programs, and they do have something tangible at the other end of it. And that's my challenge. So I'll pass it to you.
My challenge.
Yeah, your challenge to the United States.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Mr. Donald Trump. Alright, so I think with the United States, I'll be very, very honest, I'm actually shocked. I'm actually very surprised to find out that America is not the market leaders in the space on a global level. And when we were at the event the other day, I think we saw a real opportunity to kind of leverage our experience and our time as apprentices, not only in the UK, but in the States as well. And I think the way I want to challenge is the US is, first of all, from meeting you, you have a very entrepreneurial culture from what I've seen, like from even everyone in the room on Wednesday. And an apprenticeship for us has taught us how businesses work, how business operates, and how we can kind of add our little magic sauce on top, if you call it what you will. And I really want it more so embedded in the American culture, I'd say, as the UK is also starting to embed it more into the culture and seeing it less and less as a second rate option. And I want to challenge America. Can you have degree apprenticeships as the number one pathway into the corporate spaces and corporate worlds, and even to entrepreneurism as well, to learn the fundamentals of the career, how a career works, the professionalism, and how you can then take that to excel in anything that you do, not just your career, not just the corporate world, but also in anything you do, because it's a challenge. It was a challenge, it was difficult, but through that difficulty, through that challenge, it's kind of allowed us to be where we are today and to work on the things that we're working on. We're all doing important work, and I challenge the US to how can you make this a leader in career paths. So that's the challenge. Can you do that? We'll see.
Yep. Can you do that? We'll see. But what I would say is I've got two, right? The first one's going to be focused on the leaders there in the States, and the second would be for the people. The first one being, the problem really starts earlier on in a young person's educational development stage. So I feel like the best thing to do is to tackle the root cause of the problem before it spreads um, in future. So possibly to send employers to schools to sort of enlighten students on the pathways that are out there and the sort of opportunities that's out there and how to get a foot into these doors, um, making it very inclusive and accessible to basically everyone everywhere. That's the first one. The second one would be, we've created a digital platform that makes apprenticeship opportunities accessible. That platform is called Apprentice. Now we want you to become an apprentice with Apprentice. Thank you.
So as we close out, I just want to express immense gratitude to the both of you for being open to meet some random girl from America and just sitting with me and being as honest as possible, because you all brought the fire, you all brought the honesty at Oxford, and to now here we are in this beautiful place in the back of a hotel, just kicking it and having a really intentional conversation. And yeah, I want to express immense gratitude to the both of you for going forward and what you saw that needs to happen, that needs to be presented as a level 1 prestigious opportunity for as many young people as possible. And yeah, thank you for inspiring me and thank you for challenging me. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good compliment, don't you think? Yeah, but let me tell you one thing about, she's a star girl, right? Star girl.
MVP, that's it.
On the stage, on MVP, MVP, MVP. Yeah, that's her, that's her. Like, let me tell you, she got on stage to actually showcase her talents, and one of her talents was storytelling. Unique way of telling a story. I've never been so captivated in someone's story like that before. I'm not the type to cry, right? I'm not the type to cry, but that day I was so close, so bro. I had to hold it in. I had to hold it in. I'm a man. I'm grown, you know. So we don't do these things around here. But I was very locked in. I was very locked in at her story. You know, she used a different technique which I'd never seen before, and she was very proud of it. You know, that's one thing. You know, you have to take ownership of your work, of your craft, and you can tell like it's not her first rodeo. You know, she's done this countless of times, and it's very inspiring to see someone like that on stage actually, you know, showing us the different ways to actually tell our story, showcase who we are in our true form, you know, without delay or doubts. So, you know, so yeah, congrats to her as well. Thank you for turning up at University of Oxford. It was international. You know, we don't, you know, we enter these rooms, right, and we don't see people like us as much as often. So entering this room and seeing her was a blessing, because I learned a lot, not just about the whole conference alone, but about the people who are in this room. And it just tells you that we are meant to be in these rooms. We're meant for greatness and success. Right now, it might not make sense what we're doing, but I promise you, in a few years' time, you would see what we're doing and you would thank us for it. We're not here to ask for flowers. You know, this is passionate. This is real work. Some of us do this in our free times. This is a Saturday afternoon. You know, she made her way all the way from Oxford to London to actually connect and collaborate with us. So that's the level of work that is required in this space to actually achieve the results that you're about to see. So well done again, Carl. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you. And with that, we're closing out. So the question on the floor is, where the jobs at? They're in degree apprenticeship, baby. That's where they are. That's where they are. Let them know. Oh. As you can see, this is like we are so locked in. Like there is no way that I'm going back to the States and you will not hear their names again. Okay, like I'm going back with more family, and I'm so excited. So yeah, thank you so much. We are signing out from this place in London. I will see you again in the States. Peace. Bye. Oh my gosh. That was so good.